I'm Barb, and this is Barb's FreshEyes, where we help you and your business get unstuck by uncovering hidden dynamics and offering new perspectives that hopefully spark some clarity and opportunity so you can achieve your purpose at work and in life. So if you've ever felt frustrated by the constant struggle to balance work and your life, today's conversation is for you. I'm talking with Jenn Garbach, Chief Marketing Officer at PNC Bank and an old friend, about the power of constant recalibration. It's a candid, real-world look at what happens when a work-first mindset outpaces your ability to find balance. This one's for leaders who want to be great both at work and at home. Before we start, please remember to follow Barb's FreshEyes wherever you get your podcast and share it with another leader to help them get unstuck. Let's dive in. Welcome, Jenn Garbach, Jenn with 2 N's, to Barb's FreshEyes podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you about getting stuck and unstuck. So let's get it going.
Sounds good. Thanks, Barb. I'm excited to chat with you today.
So we've been on a bit of a journey together because we met many years ago, 10 years ago maybe, when the kids were little, and it was at Capital One. And what I remember about you, Jenn, is this ability to kind of jump in wholeheartedly. And I would love for you to think about like this unbelievable journey, professional and personal, that you've been on. And what are you actually most proud of?
Gosh, that's a big one to reflect on. But I honestly think sitting here today, Barb, and you've known so much of this journey with me, the thing that I'm most proud of is sitting here today, finding my balance as a professional working mom. And that has kind of been a long, hard battle of constant recalibration. As someone who's, a very typical type A, quite intense, really passionate worker. I take my work really seriously. Like I pride myself on, being successful professionally. And almost to the date, 11 years ago, my daughter turns 11 next week. That all got flipped upside down, trying to now figure out what is this identity of being, a successful career-oriented woman, and now starting to navigate this whole other part of my life of having a family at home, now having 2. And I'm really proud that I feel like I am the most calibrated version of myself right now, being able to wear both of those hats and not feeling like they are constantly in tension with one another, and like learning how to kind of allow those to swim and flow together.
How'd you figure that out? Like what got you to realize like that's the thing?
The hard way, like many things, like I think experience. I wish I could tell you I had some like amazing story of like, oh, I plotted this out and I'm very self-aware. Honestly, I got miscalibrated, right? Coming back from maternity leave after having my daughter and jumping right back into work and having no frame of reference for what that looks like, of trying to balance this insanity of having a newborn at home and wanting to jump right back into work and prove to people that I'm still like high-powered, turbocharged, like work again. And I darn near like crashed out, just going too intensely on all fronts. So I think it was a bit of a pattern, right, of burning at both ends on a repeated basis, and being fortunate to have support in my life, whether that's my husband, whether that's, great mentors and friends like you who can hold up a mirror and every once in a while be like, I think you're out of sorts. And so there certainly was a moment, and this was maybe several years after my daughter, my son and my daughter are 3 years apart, and having 2 kids, realizing, wow, I've got to drive a different level of change of how I self-manage and balance, and freeing myself from the idea that I have to be operating, at a 10 out of 10 on every dimension at all times. So I think that was like the start of understanding like, okay, it's actually just a constant negotiation with myself. And that's kind of like heady, but also very freeing when you realize there's nobody else putting all this pressure on me. A lot of it was just pressure from myself and realizing, all right, so like, where do I need to wear my mom hat a little bit more? Where do I need to wear my work hat? Where do I need to wear my friend or my wife hat like a little bit more? And allowing myself to kind of flow in and out of like where I need to spend my time, where I need to be more present. So I don't have like a formula. It's just more of a consciousness, I guess, of it now.
Yeah, I think it's consciousness, but I also think, Jen, I'm just curious about what was the thing that made you realize? So you kind of crashed out. So you kind of hit a little, you're stuck. How did you get to this realization that this notion of constant recalibration, not only is it this like path to a happier life, but from where I'm sitting, it hasn't really impeded your success.
Yeah. How I got unstuck. Well, one, I'd say like I had my pretty traditional, like I hit my bottom of realizing, wow, I have worked myself to a level of stress that is untenable, both in terms of how I'm showing up at work and how I'm showing up like for my family. Right. So that was just like a moment of like, yeah, I'm not proud of how I'm showing up on any dimension right now. But what got me unstuck was there's something inside there's like, okay, something's not right here. I need to fix it. I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to start just reaching out to the support network that I have. And I think that was the most critical thing, was realizing I have an amazing support network and I just need to start making some calls. And you were one of those calls. And I had a handful of folks, right, that I was just like, I don't know. I'm just not in a good place right now and I can't figure it out. But having people that I could talk to and realize there is so much collective wisdom out there, so many folks who have walked in these shoes before. So that was like part of the getting unstuck, was recognizing I was I was miscalibrated, being able to ask for help from others, or even just say like, something's not right. Like, help me be a sounding board and play back like what you're hearing. Yeah. And then in that, I think that was like the biggest takeaway for me, is folks being able to play back to me like, Jen, this kind of feels like a repeated pattern for you of you're going at like full intensity on all fronts. And that helps kind of create this notion of like, all right, I am the only person who can like start to manage those energy flows on all different dimensions of my life. And so that helped kind of get to the like, all right. And so now I'm just more aware of, it's budget planning time. It is a really busy time of year for all of us right now. It's also really busy with back to school. And last night was back to school night. And this weekend's the first soccer tournament. It's like, cool. I can be way more aware of that and start planning and be mentally ready for, all right, I'm going to be boss lady. Let's go drive for the budget approvals and all that. And I'm ready to like swap and go be soccer mom this weekend. And that's my happy place to find like the balance right between the two. And I think finding that, understanding that, again, those aren't in tension with one another. They're actually how I can build more energy, of like allow myself to turn off planning and work and be like, let me just go cheer on the sideline and have fun at the soccer tournament this weekend.
So I think this is really important, Jen, because what I'm hearing you say, and also what I've witnessed, is because you can find balance and get out of this sort of self-inflicted lack of balance. Are you better at both? Like, my feeling is, because you can be the full-on soccer mom cheering, you're great at that moment. And because you can be the full-on, let's get this budget done leader, you're probably great at that too. So actually, you've elevated your performance because
I think that's so spot on, Barb. It really is. It's about, again, it's not that they're in tension with one another. And I've had the privilege of working with a number of different executive coaches. And one of the kind of classic analogies they use all the time, right, is there's a reason when you're on an airplane, in case of emergency, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help people around me. My default tendency was try to exert all of my energy to everything else around me instead of like putting the energy into myself. And as soon as I kind of flipped that dynamic and said, oh, like, I actually just need to take care of me right now. And to take care of me, I need to just go have family weekend time and go like for a hike with the family to decompress, to be able to show up with more energy, with more focus at work. And then I need to be able to turn that off, to be present as a parent. And I really do. I feel like I can show up in a much bigger, more impactful way on all of those dimensions when I actually take the time to put the oxygen mask on myself first and take a couple deep breaths and think about that.
So I have a curiosity about this too, because when you take that oxygen mask and put it on yourself and find a little bit of calm, right? You are a highly energetic person, but can you find calm in that? And I believe the answer is yes. I shouldn't answer for you. What does that do for you though? Like this notion of we have to be super energetic all the time feels like a little bit of a myth to me.
Well, as you've observed, I am just naturally like a super high energy person. So I think that that's just how I'm wired. So I don't actually want to change that. Again, I think it's the awareness of I can't maintain a level 10 energy all the time, or it's just the recipe for burning out. So I can find calm in that. And it's being more deliberate about how I interject like the calm into my life and like feeling it. Like there's something about being like that head heart connection of being more centered of like, I can feel when I'm running close to a 10 for, a lot longer, at home and at work, and just being like, all right, so it's the night where I just need to shut my laptop and go binge on a Netflix series and decompress. Or like during the workday of like, all right, I'm in and I'm selling the budget meetings, I'm selling the big priorities. And then like, all right, I need to just have a beat before I go into the next set of meetings. So I think it's about interjecting the calm, and that probably looks different for everyone based on like their personality, their natural level of energy. But mine's always like, I don't know that I'm ever going to average less than an 8, but like averaging a 10 is not probably my winning strategy.
I'm dying to ask this question because I think there's an interesting, you talked about a lot of people supporting you, like leveraging your network and asking for help, which I think was a little hard. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear about the heart of asking for help. And I also want to know, as you go forward as a leader, this behavior that you're now modeling, whether you realize it or not, what is happening with your teams? Yeah. Are they seeing it different, and your kids and your husband?
I certainly hope like folks are seeing it both in terms of, my level of calm and how I'm able to show up and be supportive and present. But when I think about like what that looks like, there may be two parts that I reflect on, Barb. One is what felt hard about asking for help. And I don't know if I would articulate it as it felt hard. It wasn't natural. And maybe that's the working my way through imposter syndrome of like, oh, well, if I ask for help, it's going to reflect negatively. And it just, it's almost like it didn't occur to me to ask for help because it just felt like, oh, I should know how to do these things. But what helped on that front was, finding a couple trusted folks and just being able to have that really authentic, vulnerable, like, hey, like something's going on and I'm trying to unpack it. And the way you and others responded and engaged was so genuine and so helpful. And it didn't feel risky. It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, Barb's going to think I'm like this idiot who's incapable of like doing the things. You were incredibly empathetic. And I had others who were like, yeah, like this is life. Like this is balancing all of it. I think the other part was about asking for help was not feeling threatened. And that was like a different version. And I think we have a fun story, right? When we first started working together, that was one of those stories of, I remember when I was first introduced to you and the team was like, hey, like go interview this woman and talk to her about working here. And I was like, well, doesn't she do what I do? And isn't this, I felt threatened. And when I realized, all right, let me just get out of my own way. Like this is a Jenn in her head thing. And we started working together and it was the best possible thing at the easiest level, just to say how much I learned from you professionally as a fellow like brand marketing leader. But then to be at this point in our relationship where I'm like, you are literally part of my like inner circle of like, who I can call. And we're in this new phase of like a friendship and mentorship. And if I had sat in the place of just being threatened by that, like we wouldn't have all these different like facets and dimensions to our relationship today. And so that's where I think like I am truly smarter, better, just more equipped. And I try to bring that to bear, right? Certainly at work, but also like at home, and just be open to try new things.
And how is the reaction to that? Like, are people noticing a different Jenn? I mean, I think this has been sort of a journey, so it's not like, oh, all of a sudden things changed. But in your new role, like how long have you been at PNC? A couple of years now?
Just over 2 years now.
Yeah. So how is that manifesting at work? Because I want people to understand, I want our listeners to understand the value of this is to actually improve your performance.
Yeah. Well, and I think I don't know, maybe I should go back and do a little bit of a listening tour. I don't know if anyone would say like, oh, it's a different Jenn, but I hope what they would say is it has helped me have authentic, meaningful connections with people to be able to do that and to, one, be able to share. And I do think that role modeling is incredibly important, managing a team of the size that I have, to be like, hey, we're in our all hands, we're in our planning sessions. And like, I just need to share, I've got the chaos of, back to school and all of the things that I'm balancing, and that connection that it creates for the team of like, yes, we are also managing many of those things. And we're trying to, so I think that helps with creating connection, but then also to be able to reflect on, I am feeling the tension and the pressure of like a lot coming on all these different fronts, and being able to verbalize that, own it, I think creates more impactful connections with the team, because then people aren't making assumptions about like Jenn's frazzled and stressed. It's like, got it. Like there's just a lot going on right now. And it creates, I think, a way for people to connect to and be like, cool. I think we're, we just all have a lot going on right now. Let's focus on planning, or actually maybe this isn't as important. Let's give it a week and let everyone find their calm and decompress. So I think that's how I see it showing up at work, as more of an awareness and an ability to create connection across the team.
And at home, how do you feel like it's showing up at home?
I feel really good about how it's showing up at home. I think the feedback from my kids is I don't get as much of the mommy, you seem stressed. Right. And that was kind of the low point of when my kids at a young age were able to see that I was bringing home stress. That felt really not awesome. Yeah. And so now I don't think they see as much like kind of crazy mom. But also we've built like that communication to be like, when it is busy, like my kids are older now, right? They're almost 8 and 11. So being able to talk to them of like, things are really busy. Tonight's one of the nights like I need to do some work, but it's not an all the time. It's not, you see me tethered to my laptop. You see me always on the phone and not able to be at back to school night or at the PTA meeting. And that's really important to me, that they know and they actively see that I am prioritizing and I'm being there with them. I think my husband will probably give me the strongest positive feedback there, that he has seen me much better calibrate. So he's my fast barometer.
Yeah. I want to kind of create this sort of hypothetical scenario where you're in a room with your peers, other leaders. What's the thing? Like, what's the magic wand wave that you would do to get them to sort of see the light about the power of what you're talking about?
Ooh.
How do you get them to shift their mindset? Because I feel like it starts at the top a lot in companies.
The thing that comes to mind when you ask that, Barb, is asking folks just what's the thing you need? What's the story you need to tell yourself? Right. And to encourage that level of like introspection and to show up with what's the thing you need to tell yourself right now? I have personally experienced for myself, and I wonder if this is, something others have, is, we show up with the shoulds and what we assume others are doing. And I feel like I have actually shown up the best when I stop shoulding other people or assuming what everyone else is bringing to the table and just focus on, nope, this is what I need is to show up with confidence today. What I need is to show up demonstrating that I actually understand the subject matter, the topic at hand. And I want to show up as like a really interesting, influential leader today, and focusing on that. And I think if everyone, I think that would be kind of my magic wand of like, what's the thing you need to tell yourself to show up instead of worrying about what everybody else might be bringing into the room.
And it sounds like this has become this sort of intuitive practice for you. Mm-hmm. But how did you get to that state from like, okay, I'm getting unstuck and I have to remember me. What did you do to make sure that this is something now that is just naturally how you show up?
This is, I should brand this one. This is like Jenn's Post-it note philosophy. I literally have Post-it notes on my monitor and different places at home that I ask myself that question of like, what's the story I need to tell myself? And I change them as needed. But I've had one that has been enduring, which is there's nothing more important than taking care of yourself. And it's just a reminder of like, I see it every day. And a lot of times I just gloss over it sitting on my monitor right now. And that's a good thing because that usually means I'm calibrated. But the days I look at it and need to take 3 deep breaths, it's perfect. I'm like, that's why that Post-it note is there, because I'm starting to burn the candle at both ends. And I need to remind myself of I am the only person in the driver's seat of helping, recalibrate, focus on what I need to. And then sometimes those Post-it notes change about different things about, set your boundaries or, whatever that is. But I think I'm a big believer in the Post-it note philosophy of if you can distill it to a little 3x3 yellow sticky of what you need, you probably have that level of clarity. And then it's just what's the reminder? How do you just keep that top of mind so that, you can catch yourself or reflect for yourself? And other people probably no different than other people who do gratitude journals or the 5-minute reflections, but the Post-it note methodology works for me.
You've heard it here, folks, first, the Post-it note methodology. I think we're definitely going to have to brand this, Jenn, because it feels very powerful, and not hard either. There's a beauty to it. So is there a story in your mind when you think about this that really encapsulates, I'm going to use this word, the transformation between feeling out of balance and this notion of perpetual recalibration?
Yeah, here I'll share. This is a really personal one, but I hit one of the points where I was just working a ton, and this was several years back. I was just working a ton. It was during the pandemic, so there were just layers of stress, right? Just the typical work stress, the typical home stress, global pandemic on top of that. But I was absolutely frazzled is the only word, and that's not even strong enough. But I had a moment where I wrapped up work. It was, end of the day, through dinner time, getting ready to put the kids to bed. And I went to put my daughter to bed. I walked into her room and she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, Mommy, I can tell you're stressed. If you need to go back to work, I can put myself to bed." And that moment, literally broke my heart, as I don't ever want to be in that place again, where I am wearing so much of that, intensity and stress that my family is picking up on it. And my kid's like, "Nope, I'm good. You can go finish over there." And so that was kind of I won't be in that place again. What do I need to do? That is where the support system of hey, other working moms, other folks managing through the pandemic, other folks with high, intensity jobs. How are you doing this? And starting to look for these little nuggets that worked for other people and try different things out. And for me, it landed in a really simple Post-it note methodology of focusing and taking care of myself. And now what I can really authentically tell you, Barb, is I'm sitting in a place where I just feel in control of managing that. And that doesn't mean I don't get stressed and I don't have my moments where I bring the stress home, but I feel so much more equipped to catch it and to be got it. I get to make the choice of how I want to handle this situation and how I'm going to exert the energy and to de-escalate. And it goes back to the point you made before of, and I think what that means is I am showing up in a stronger way at work, that I'm not like, all over the place and frazzled. Right. And so much more importantly, I'm there for my family, and I'm not crazy mom who's always working and not able to be part of like the core family activities.
It's amazing. It is. It is truly a transformation, Jen. Like I'm thrilled to sit here and hear this story. Okay. So we have these beautiful listeners listening in, and there's this like, Barb, why didn't you ask this question to Jen? What do you think that question is, and how would you answer? Like, what is the one thing we want to ensure that they walk away with from this with? I
don't know what the question is, but I'll offer like a point of view that's my reflection across all of this, which is embracing that growth happens through discomfort. I think that has been one of the things that has served me best, just looking across my life, my career, but I think is a little bit of like the theme of this of sometimes that discomfort's like real wonky, like the story I just shared. That's not the one I'm most proud of. But sometimes the discomfort is just like I'm presenting to the board for the first time. I'm, chaperoning a field trip, or I don't know, like there are things that just make you feel uncomfortable. Those are like a signal to lean in and embrace it and explore, why does it make you feel uncomfortable? What can you learn? And come through the other side better, stronger. Like I did that. I can do hard things. I did that. And now it's part of my, my repertoire. It's part of my playbook. I can do other hard things. So I think that to me is like the single biggest one is, if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels hard, lean in and explore it. Because there's something good there. There's a nugget like somewhere in there.
Somewhere. Yeah. And do you kind of see it coming now too? Like, do you have a sense of the flags of
definitely
moments of discomfort?
Definitely. I definitely can feel the like, it's coming. How can I mentally get my head in the game for this one now? And again, that to me is like that. It's that head-heart connection thing of, okay, is there just a story track in my head that feels disconnected, or is it like, oh, nope, I actually feel the little bit of the stress right now. Take a couple breaths. Like what's going on here? But I do think I'm getting better at being able to see it, feel it, think it, right? And I think that's the mental game, right? Maybe that's the other reflection, just as we're talking this out, Barb. It's the everybody's figuring this out, right? Like nobody's got all of the answers. So part of it's like just being okay and embracing like nobody has all of the answers. And most of the time it's going to be okay. Okay, take a breath. How do I want to, how do I want to just be ready? How do I want to experience it? Like there's really not been anything catastrophic.
Yeah. I love that. I love the heart and head connection. And we're all in this boat. Jenn, thank you so much for being on this podcast. This is incredible. And what you said is exactly why we're here, because we can all learn from each other's wisdom. So I can't thank you enough for participating.
Well, thank you for being a part of the journey. And this was very fun. So thank you for the opportunity to catch up today.
That's great.
Thank you so much, Jenn, for being so candid and sharing your incredible story. So here's your start today moment. The one thing you can take away from this conversation and actually use right now. The most important leadership tool is self-awareness. When you're feeling overwhelmed, take a page from Jenn's playbook and use her Post-it note methodology. Take a moment to ask, what is the story I need to tell myself right now? And actually post it to your computer. This simple recalibration allows you to be more present at home and a stronger leader at work. Please remember to follow the show and share this conversation with another leader who's looking for a fresh perspective to get unstuck. Whatever you're navigating, don't overcomplicate it. Start here and keep leading with fresh eyes.